If a little green is good, more is even better. Now, back to Green is Good with John Shigarian and Mike Brady.
Welcome back to Green is Good. And Mike, I'm going to tell you what, there's going to be no more junk mail in the Shigarians household.
I'll tell you, same here for the Casa del Brady. I mean, that is just absolutely brilliant, really. Who would not want to unclog their mailbox and, like you said, just keep all that stuff out of the landfill, even just out of our recycling bin?
$5 a year. Come on, our listeners, go to updated.com and stop the junk mail, both at your home and your business. It's one of the greatest propositions we've ever had on Green is Good. And for the second half of the show, we've got Matt Peterson, our great friend Matt Peterson, coming back on to talk about greening schools, Mike. So our listeners should listen to this commercial, then come on back to Green is Good.
If a little green is good, more is even better. Now, back to Green is Good with John Shigarian and Mike Brady.
Welcome back to Green is Good, and we're so honored today to have our good friend Matt Peterson on. Matt's the president and CEO of Global Green. He's been on Green is Good before, and he's back again. Welcome to Green is Good, Matt.
Well, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Matt, there's no one that we've ever had on this show that's more deserving to be on the show. You have done so much over the years with regards to the environment and sustainability and in so many sectors, and you've brought in so many, both literally rock stars and movie stars, into the movement and made it cool and hip to be green. We're just thrilled to have you back on.
Thank you, John. You're too kind and too generous, but I appreciate the chance to be on with you today.
Well, it's true, Matt. And since we've had you on last, you've done amazing with Global Green. You've done amazing work down with regards to Hurricane Katrina. You've also, you're the inaugural Hillary Senior Fellow. Talk a little bit about some of those before we get into talking about why you came on today. Talk a little bit about just the last couple of years and the amazing work you've been working on.
Sure. When I was a kid, I remember seeing litter strewn about a park, and my dad, I don't remember the conversation, but my dad said, I said to him, "Dad, we need to do something to take care of our planet." And so I guess for me it started at a young age, but fast forward to 2005 when Hurricane Katrina hit, and I just saw the devastation unfold and thought we must be able to do something. I was ashamed of my country and our government and our society inability to help these people, and was moved to say, all right, ultimately, what could I do? I could give money, a little bit of money, to Red Cross or other groups, which I did, and then thought, well, what else could I could bring a family into my home that doesn't have a home, and I thought, well, I run this nonprofit. We have, even though at the time we were only 15 staff, we had the greatest amount of green building expertise in one environmental nonprofit in the country, and I thought, well, let's mobilize that and put it to work to help this community rebuild better and greener and healthier and become the model for how we need to rebuild our communities across the country to deal with climate change and to create a stronger economy. And so we've remarkably made progress on all three of our goals that I set forth for us in those just literally 2 weeks after that storm. And we've made progress on greening the schools in New Orleans and the rebuilding of them. We've made progress in helping 10,000 homeowners rebuild green in New Orleans and throughout the Gulf Coast. And we've made a tremendous progress in our goal to adopt a neighborhood and help it bring it back as a model of green. And our Holy Cross project in the lower Ninth Ward is the example of that. And our 5 single-family homes are completed, and we're about to put them up for sale. And
wow. A
low-income family is going to move in and have, in New Orleans in the summer, have an energy bill that's no more than $40 a month, we predict. Most people have $250, $300 energy bills down there. This is the future we need to embrace. And some of my work is built, our work with Global Green is built from our work with affordable housing and schools, the work in New Orleans, and we're doing so many great projects across this country and trying to show how we create the model. And we're assisting the homeowners in San Bruno that lost their homes to the natural gas pipeline explosion there and helping them rebuild green. We're helping the city of Youngstown do that. And it's really, for me, it's the personal mission here is how do we help the people in need and help the environment. And that's really what got me involved with the Hillary Institute, which is based in New Zealand and is a group that was founded as the namesake of Sir Edmund Hillary, the first man to climb Mount Everest.
Right.
And it's really about finding leadership, people around the world who are taking that brave courageous climb up the mountain to create change in the world, and recognizing them and helping them do the same. So as the fellow, that's my job, is to help identify those people.
Well, Matt, before we get into talking about greening schools, I just want to do a promotional message here for, both my family and our business have always supported your amazing organization. For our listeners out there right now, who if you have your iPad or your laptop open now, go to Matt's great website. It's www.globalgreen.org. And open it up, look at it, and look at all the points of entry that Global Green and Matt and his colleagues have created over the years, where there'll be something of interest for you there to get involved with, whether it's water, whether it's carbon, climate, green building, which we're going to talk about today with Matt, green, schools. But get involved either with Global Green or write a check or go to one of his great events. But it is one of the most interactive organizations in the world. They welcome participation. They welcome your money. It's a nonprofit. And like I said, go to the website now. You'll be so happy you did, because they touch all of us in so many ways. And the whole purpose is to leave a better legacy behind with regards to sustainability and the environment that we all found. So Matt, thank you for that great work. And I know, it continues every day, and it's a progression. It's never perfect. But let's talk about why you came on the show today, the issue of green schools, and why is greening schools so important, and why have you made this one of the big and great missions at Global Green?
Well, you look at in our communities who are most in need, and certainly we have the impoverished and the disabled and so many people that have great need. But what is our greatest resource, and those that need the greatest help is our children. And we need to make sure our children attend classrooms that are healthy. I mean, our kids spend so much time in classrooms that are unhealthy, that are poorly lit, that don't have sunlight, that are loud, that the schools spend money on energy bills unnecessarily. We spend more money in this country on energy bills for schools than we do textbooks and computers combined. We need to turn that around. And what Global Green has set out to do is help schools and now help students and teachers and parents figure out how they can help make their schools green. We're in the process of selecting a winner of our Green Schools competition, Green School Makeover competition, that the school's going to win over $100,000 of support and improvements to their school to become a model of how we retrofit our schools. And in the President Obama's jobs bill, there's $25 billion set aside for school modernization, which could be spent on modernizing these schools to be healthier, more energy efficient. And we need to see this happen in every point across the country. Every school in this neighborhood, every neighborhood in this country has a school. And every school can be not just a place that is better for kids, which is the first priority, but it's also better for the environment as a model of what it means to combat global warming. If we can lower energy bills, put more people in the classroom, put more resources in the classroom, that's a win-win.
For our listeners out there that want to get involved, Matt, so what are the steps involved, and how do you really go about greening a school?
Well, we're working with an organization called CHIPS, Collaborative for High Performance Schools, to create an iPad app or iPhone app that will allow you to measure the energy, the energy, indoor air quality, acoustics of a class. So we want to make it easy for everybody. It's a tool that currently is used by maintenance staff. We want to make it user-friendly so that a teacher can work with the students to measure the school's progress, or any school principal can use it as a way to get his staff to figure out how do they target the improvements. The first goal is always, how do you improve the daylight in class? If you've got lighting and you've got these blackout shades, like how do you put in shades? It's a simple one, but put in shades that allow daylight in, but don't allow the glare and the heat gain. And that's an easy one, and was something we did in New Orleans with $75,000 a school. We put in solar shades. We improved the duct. We cleaned out the ducts and taught the staff how to clean out their air ducts. And we've saved these schools $25,000 a year. Payback of 3 years.
Well, Matt, on your site right now, and again, if you're just joining us, we're on with Matt Peterson, Global Green. GlobalGreen.org is the site. It's just really very cool. You're talking about the schools too. One of the things that struck me immediately, and John and I were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, about the garden roof. And you can do that at the school and capture the water and cool the roof down by planting densely packed green vegetation on top.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not for every roof. Your roof has to be appropriately structured, but most school roofs are strong enough that you can put up a green roof that can also grow food to be eaten in the cafeteria. What a greater way to teach kids where our food comes from, how to be good stewards for the environment, to understand the science of the world, and what discovery. We've done work with schools that have their school gardens, and it's just remarkable to see these kids. The eyes light up when they understand where food comes from, how it's grown, and what are the nutrients that the earth needs, and what is the care that is required, and it just it's not only good for the environment and good for healthy eating. It's amazing to see the discovery.
You know, Global Green's been involved with greening schools for some time now, but what was the epiphany? What was the moment that it caught your attention? Who brought it to your attention, Matt, that this is something that Global Green should be involved with, and that you then took the torch and have really run with it? When did that happen, and who was the group of the people that brought this to your attention, this massive void in American society now?
Well, I think it really started when I was. It was an evolution, a journey, as most things are. I started as a volunteer with Habitat for Humanity, and said we must be able to do something better here. How do we create homes that are truly affordable, and make them healthy and energy efficient? And that became, as I started running Global Green, it became one of our first programs, our Greening Affordable Housing Initiative, and we've worked with Habitat on a national level. And as we, over time, had more and more success and saw that schools and affordable housing and other core parts of strengthening our community, helping improve people's lives, really were critical to the success, not just of the environment, but to vibrant, healthy communities. We said, all right, we really need to start looking at schools. And a lot of school districts and colleges were doing bond projects, starting about a decade ago, including LA Unified School District. And we had proposed to them back before, it was 2001, 2002, that they passed a policy that required increased green building, and so they adopted standard. We didn't have the resources at the time to really tackle that bureaucracy to say, all right, how do we help you make sure you do that, do it properly? Right. And fast forward a few years, and we'd heard evidence that the school district wasn't administering across the board this Green Schools policy, and the Annenberger Foundation approached us to see if we'd be interested to work with them on greening of schools, and it really was a great partnership. And over time, the Annenberg Foundation invested $1 million into us, and through us, part of that money went back into creating some model schools. And with that $1 million, sounds like a lot, but what we leveraged over 4 years is we helped green $15 billion in school construction in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Because we were vigilant, we showed them how we could help them, and we held their feet to the fire, and then they became the greatest champion themselves, the LAUSD.
And speaking of costs, you just laid out some wow numbers for us. How much does this process cost to green a school? If someone's sitting in Kansas right now or Idaho and they're listening to the show, how much down the street from them, that the school that their kids go to or their grandkids go to, how much does it really cost, this whole process?
Well, with an existing school, we found you can invest $75,000 to $100,000 and get your money back in 3 years. So
wow.
It's a worthwhile investment. I mean, most schools have modernization dollars of some kind that they're allocated that are separate from the money that's used to pay teachers.
Right.
But those savings from those infrastructure dollars, modernization dollars, can be put back into the operating budget for the school, so you can afford half a salary for a teacher, or put some money back into the classroom through textbooks, and that's limited. That's limited investment, and there are bigger gains to be had if you've got bigger budget. But there are simpler things that people can do that cost even less than that, just to make the school more energy efficient and healthy. And starting with looking at what pesticides, try to stop using pesticides at the school and using natural pest management so kids' health isn't put at risk, or whatever it might be. And there's a lot of things that schools can do with hopefully help of kids and parents and teachers to figure out.
Got it. Are there programs right now that people should be looking for in their communities to help them cover these costs, or is it more on a privatized basis they have to go out and raise the money to make this happen?
Well, again, school districts, I think what the citizens can do is go to their school district through the board meeting and say, hey, I've learned about the opportunities to increase energy efficiency in schools, and I understand that most school districts have capital dollars that they can't use for spending on teachers and other resources in the classroom. And I want to know what is our school district doing, and what can we do to help make sure that we're putting the money in, not just to put in new flooring, and when we do, we want to make sure it's green flooring, but what are the opportunities to make sure we're getting some daylight? Because you know why? We've seen in study after study that students score 20 to 25% higher in test scores in well-daylit classrooms. Not artificial light, but with sunlight. Wow. And that is because they're more attentive, they're more alert, and along with better air quality, they get, it's better air ventilation, and kids don't miss school as much if the air is healthier. What that mean? That means the average daily attendance goes up, and schools have more baseline budget to be able to fund operations. So it's not just the energy savings. There's lots of other benefits too.
Matt, on this journey that you've been on with regards to greening schools, what would be your advice to people out there that want to roll up their sleeves and actually do something? What are the 2 or 3 lowest hanging fruits that are typically right there in terms of making the school greener, which, like you said, sometimes you can't do the whole thing right out of the box, but if you want to just choose the easiest 1 or 2 or 3 things to do, what has been your cross section of knowledge that you've learned with regards to what's the easiest first 3 things to do that create the biggest impact?
Well, I think just to reinforce what I said first, it would be ask questions. Ask your principal. Okay. Write a letter to the school board president, and we've got examples of those on our website at globalgreen.org you can look at. That'd be the first thing.
Got it.
Second would be to work with your teacher to identify a project you could work on with your kids, and maybe it's as simple as starting a school garden. There are a lot of great resources and a lot of great examples of school gardens, and that may, the school may not have the money to create the raised beds, to buy the gardening tools, to buy the seeds, and that could be a parent-driven fundraising project. And next, maybe look around and see in your kid's classroom, are the windows covered with blackout shades? And if the school doesn't have the capital budget and ability to invest in putting some new shades, maybe it's instead of a bake sale for the school trip, you do a bake sale or do another bake sale for putting in solar shades so the kids can have better daylight and get higher test scores, and because they're learning more, they're absorbing more, and it feels better to be in those classrooms.
That's great. And for our listeners who just joined us, we're so excited and honored to have Matt Peterson back on Green is Good with us. Matt's, of course, is the president and CEO of Global Green USA. You can look at his website, which is just a real wonderful website at www.globalgreen.org. On the website right now, Mike and I are right there. The first button in the middle of the landing page talks about Green School Makeover Contest. Talk about that makeover contest and other initiatives and projects and programs that Global Green's doing right now to promote greening schools.
Well, we just wrapped up our first Green School Makeover competition, and we're doing the final judging, and we'll have a winner we're announcing soon.
It's exciting.
And so we plan to start the next one in 2012, so people should look out for that.
Okay.
We've been working, as I said earlier, with the LA Unified School District. That work continues, and the work we're doing in New Orleans to help the school district there continues. And we're help schools here and there as we can get the money raised to help them assist them. But we're also doing a lot of work with charter schools. As more parents choose to put their kids in charter schools, these facilities often don't come under the same regulations as public schools. So we're working with the Walton Family Foundation and other foundations to figure out how do we help increase the energy efficiency of these facilities, and we've been working with LISC, the Low-Income Solutions, Local Initiative Support Corporation, LISC, to figure out how we do the same, and working with them here in Los Angeles and a number of other charter schools. So those are the kinds of things that we've been up to and hope to continue to do. And we can only do it with support of individuals and others in their contributions.
Yeah,
so
and right here,
I appreciate you plugging us.
Yeah, and right on the website, on the right-hand side of the landing page, there's a way for you to join and donate and subscribe right then and become a member. So there's points of entry all over your landing page, which makes it very, very user-friendly. Matt, we have about 5-6 minutes left, and I want you to, you touch so many important areas of sustainability and the environment. And I've been to your amazing events where I've seen Leonardo DiCaprio films on water that still stick with me now and are making me so conscious with regards to the water crisis that we have, not only here in the United States, but frankly around the world. What are the other points that the other beacons of hope and light that you're working with and championing over at Global Green with regards to other issues of sustainability besides the green schools issues?
We're working to raise awareness on the impact of sea level rise due to climate change and global warming. 150 million Americans are at risk, billions of people around the world, trillions of dollars in economic impact if we don't stop the impact from global warming and sea level rise. And making people realize that they can do something in their own backyard. And we need to continue to push President Obama and Congress and corporations to act. But people can do something in their own backyard. So we have a contest to people to say, I am New Orleans, and they enter what they're going to do in their neighborhood or with their school or their city to figure out how they can make a difference. And what they're going to get a chance to do is go to our Oscars party on February 22nd, 2012, and get a chance to win a pair of tickets. And then we're going to have a video contest, people telling the story of what they're doing, what that impact is, and they'll get a chance to walk the green carpet at the party and have their film shown and debuted there, and get to join me on a delegation to the Rio Earth Summit in 2012, June of 2012. So we're trying a number of different ways to also engage people, and the cornerstone of this campaign is a PSA we've done with Mark Ruffalo, Adrian Grenier, Orlando Bloom, Serena Williams, a number of James Cameron, a number of other individuals. So it's trying to raise awareness, we still need to do that and try to drive action.
Gotcha. And water, then talk a little bit about like the fascinating statistics around water. How many people, when we've had, Alan Hershkovitz and other great thought leaders like you and Alan on the show and John and Patricia Adams, the issue of, what we take for granted here in the United States, drinking water and having water to shower and bathe with that's clean. Talk about that, a little bit about your efforts and Global Green's efforts with regards to the water crisis around the world right now and the great leadership you guys have shown on that issue.
So many people lack access to basic clean water and lack access to sanitation around the world, and it's really an environmental crisis. It's a humanitarian crisis, and it's really a challenge for stability in many regions where there's limited access to water. And we really have to look at how do we give individuals access to human water as a human right. And what does that mean? Well, that means we have to help them find low-tech, easy solutions to capture and make sure they have clean water. That means we need to make sure that, if water systems are privatized, that the poor don't get cut off and that they still have access to enough water to be able to live. We need to help nations in the developing world to ensure that proper sanitation is in place. We need to make sure countries don't go to war over shared river basins, and how do we prevent that conflict and coming up with smarter ways. We know from here in out here in the West in California what if our states can't come to agreement over sharing the Colorado River, how can we expect nations to come to agreement over sharing other river basin resources in other parts of the world? So we need to help these places and make sure that there's a framework in place to help people resolve these conflicts. We fight over oil now, and the next century's battles will be over water.
Well, Matt, we're down to the last 2 minutes or so, and I want to leave that to you. You've had 17 years of brilliantly leading, Global Green as the president and CEO, and you're still a very young man. I mean, what's the future hold? Give us in the last 2 minutes before we sign off, what's your visibility on the future of not only the environment and sustainability, but the whole movement as a whole, and just share your thoughts with our listeners.
Yeah, I think we need to continue to see how we connect the dots. If we get stuck in silos and see everything as a problem and just have a linear solution, we're only going to end up with more unintended consequences and problems than we started with. And I'm really driven to whether it's connecting with those fighting to those fighting poverty, or those trying to help low-income communities, or really more and more looking at how we treat Mother Earth and how we treat women on this planet. We need to see that something's out of balance, and if we don't reconnect to our own communities and love what gives us life, we're not going to allow future generations to enjoy not just the beauty of nature, but to get the same clean air and clean water that's allowed us to survive and thrive on this planet. And so it's really a fight to ensure quality of life and ultimately survival of our species, and it requires a different way of thinking and a different approach, I think, than we've got right now.
Well, Matt, you're always welcome here. The green carpet's out for you. You really are an amazing human being, and all the work you've done with your colleagues at Global Green. For our listeners out there, again, please go to Matt's website, www.globalgreen.org. Get involved, donate, subscribe, learn more about the great work they're doing, and pick a subject or pick a topic that really interests you, and take some ownership. It's really our world to save and to work on and to leave a better legacy behind us. Matt Peterson, again, you're a visionary and a sustainability leader, and truly living proof that green is good.
This program will be available for downloading in a couple of days from our station's website, keyword podcast. Thanks for listening, and join us again next week at the same time for another edition of Green is Good.